it's just a very frustrating day for me. Well, let's just everyone take out a syllabus. Okay, I want everyone on the same page so you know what's going on. Next week, Monday, is your lab practical, right? And I'm going to spend a few minutes to talk about your lab practical. But before I do that, just let's go over the schedule. So Monday, it's your lab practical. Now, if you're 4 p.m., you're supposed to come at 4 p.m. Okay, don't be late. I'm not going to wait for you unless I stuck with traffic like today. Okay, but I promise, no matter what, I will be here. I don't think I will get into traffic like today again. But just don't leave if I'm not here. I'm still surviving. I'm still alive, and I will come. Okay. If you're 4 p.m. lab, you start at 4 p.m. So here is my plan. Okay. 4 p.m. Once you're done with the lab practical, we're not going to spend the entire 1.5 hour very likely because we have 25, 26, 27. I believe we have 27 stations. Okay, that also applies to the 7 p.m. classes. There are, as far as I know, you should expecting around 90 questions total. So if you think about that, right, you have about 4 questions, 3 to 4 questions per station. Okay, what does that mean? That means you need to know the material so well. The minute that you look at the picture, you look at the microscope, you look at the question, your answer should be in your mind already. All you needed to do is just write down the answer. Okay? So that's number one. So we're expecting around 90 questions, 3 to 4 per station. Okay? If you think that you want to make sure, one of the reasons why you do not want to come in late, because you know, lab practical, everyone is going to be assigned to one spot. I will randomly assign you to a spot you will not going to sit at the same place. Okay, and then I will give you enough time. I will make sure everyone will have enough time. But typically, it's about, since we have 4 questions, so you're looking for about 2 minutes, more or less 2 minutes. Okay, per station. And then I will ask you to switch every 2 minutes, right? You switch from one station to another station. Is that clear? Okay? And then until, this is like a circle, right? Until every single one of you complete all the questions. Then we're done. Okay? Now, one thing that you needed to make sure, I don't know about the other instructor, but for me, once you're done, I will have about 2 more minutes for you to double check the answer, make sure the spelling is right. Now, some of you ask me how I'm going to count the spelling. You know, English is my second language. If I can recognize it, it's close enough, you probably get the full credit. Okay? If I sort of recognize it, but I know this is sort of wrong, you will get half credit. If I do not recognize it at all, then that means you do not get credit. Okay? 2, you needed to make sure once you are done with the lab practical, you're in station number 1, you go to station number 2 or station number 3, you have extra time and you wanted to double check your answer, and you just raise your hand and just tell me, hey, I wanted to go back to station number 1 and because I don't know what the question is about. My answer is not possible. Okay? So once the station is gone, it means it disappeared forever. Okay? So the strategy, number 1, you're supposed to know the subject so well, very well, that your answer should immediately pop up in your mind. 2, if you do not know the answer, right, you have an answering sheet, right, it's just one side, empty space, tiny space, and you just write the answer right there, right? And you flip to the back side, you still have a lot of space, right? What do you want it to do? Write down the question. Okay, station number 1 was the question supposed to be, draw the picture, whatever that, any kind of hints that will allow you whenever you go to a station and you have extra time and then you have nothing to do, then all you really needed to do is just flip to the back side of the paper and think about what's going on in station number 1, right? Okay? 2, do not leave it blank. Now, I'm really trying to motivate students to put answer into the box. I know if you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer. But sometimes you know, you never know. You are going to try to put some answer in the boxes. Perhaps I may give you some partial credit. You never know. So this is why I try not to leave it blank, even if you don't know the answer. Unfortunately, what it ends up to be most of the time, it is they don't want to leave it blank, but the answer have nothing to do with human physiology. Okay, I even had a student try to fill in the blank, write space, and ask me, hey, did you watch the TV yesterday? Okay, don't write anything that is not related to our class. Well, you are welcome to ask me about what's happened in the commercial or whatever TV program last night in person, but you do not have to write right there, right? You're supposed to put the answer related to physiology, okay? Just sort of one piece of comment. So other than that, what I'm planning to do, it is for those who are actually at 4 p.m., we'll be done with the lab practical in about 1 hour or 1 hour 10 minutes, okay? Now our entire class is supposed to be more or less 1 hour 30 minutes long. So we should end up at least 15 more minutes left for the practical. Then I will spend that period of 15 minutes to go over your lecture exam. So I will give you a very quick and rough overview. On Monday, once you're done with the lab practical, I will tell you what is it about for your lecture exam on Wednesday. Okay, that applied to 4 p.m. at this moment. Now, once again, your lecture exam, it is on next Wednesday. Okay, during the lecture time in this classroom. That applied to all 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. classes. Is that clear? Okay. Going back to the 7 p.m. now please listen very carefully. I try to be fair, but as an instructor, I really needed to avoid there's some answer exchange. Although I will switch the question, but you know, it's sort of the same format, same kind of microscope slide you're going to look at, right? How I'm going to do that, I will do my best, but in order for me to avoid you are trying to exchange the answer or 4 p.m. is going to give all the answers to 7 p.m. classes. Alright, I'm not going to give you a 1.5 hour gap in between the 4 p.m. lab and the 7 p.m. lab. So as a result, for the 7 p.m. labs, your lab practical, it is start at 5:30 in the lab. Don't come to the lectures. You start at 5:30. I will meet you there in the labs. Once you're done, and then you can go, right? Same idea. Done with the lab practical, I will spend 15 minutes to go over about the lecture review with you guys, and then you do not have any more lab at 7 p.m. Finish, done with Monday. Let me double check. Yeah. Okay? So, once again, 7 p.m. do not start at 7 p.m. If you come to the class at 7 p.m., you're not taking the lab practical. Okay, we will have our lab practical at 5:30. Clear? Okay, don't be late, same thing, okay? What's going on Wednesday? Wednesday we will have a very short lab. I will still meet you in the lab regardless you are 4 p.m. or 7 p.m. Hi, are you 7 p.m. labs or 4 p.m. labs? Okay, 7. I make a very important announcement. Make sure you come and talk to me. Okay. We will still have a lab on Wednesday, but it's just a really short lab, okay? So we still have a lab at 4 p.m., at 5:30, you take the lecture exam, done, 7 p.m., well, I'm still going to meet you at 7 p.m., we have a very short lab, okay? Unless I change my mind and give you a break. Let me think about that, okay, if possible, since it's just an overall review. But other than that, at least you know about the time for the lab practical, you know about the time for the for the lecture exam. Okay? Finally, for your lecture exam. Now, you do need to study so well. Now, most of the time you will noticing for a lot of classes, what you have for your exam is they typically have about 3, 4, or even 5 chapters combined as one exam. But for us, okay, it is just chapter 5 and chapter 6. But I need to give you 50 multiple choice questions. What does that mean? That means I will ask you a lot of information. You need to study it very well. If not, there's no way for me to make 50 multiple choice questions from 2 chapters, right? It is like 25 MC questions from 1 chapter, okay? Typically, it is not possible. I mean, it's possible, but as an instructor, you won't do that. But this is how we structure the 204 and 205. So that means you do need to know the subject material very well, okay? So again, my suggestion is first, always go over all the material that I go over in the lecture first. Use your PowerPoint as a reference, okay? And then go back home, read the textbooks, okay? And then you will be fine, all right? The way that how it works, do not read it the day before, okay? This is short-term memory. When you wake up in the morning, 90% of the information either it's gone or mixed up with all other chapters. This is just how it works, okay? I mean, this is how our brain works, okay? What you really needed to do if you wanted to have a long-term memory. Now, you know, I care you have a very good understanding about the subject, but you know, as a student, I know you more care about the grade perhaps, right? So what you really need is to get a good grade in the exam, right? I don't care. Are you going to memorize the material in exam 1 when you're taking the exam 2 because the regular lecture exam is not accumulated, right? But at least you need to have a long-term memory for a short period of time. So the way how it works is always read the material in day 1. Next day you will forget everything most of the time, okay? Following day you read it again. Okay, perhaps you do not need to read it so detailed, but you at least need to kind of scan through the material. Okay, now some of the information will pop up, and now start to following in your nerve tissue, and they start to become a long-term memory. Okay, and then on day 3, if you have time, just use your flashcard and everything to go over it one more time. Okay, if you want during the weekend, okay, on Saturday you can have fun and forget everything that you studied. And on Sunday, you read it one more time, okay? Monday, you perhaps need to focusing on my lab practical. You don't spend a lot of time. And then on Tuesday, you read it very in details. And if you sort of do it like that, okay, so you will have, that means you will read it 3 or 4 times, then it will last you for about a week, so you will be safe for your lecture exam. And after 1 week, perhaps you will forget everything again, but that's fine, right? Because you already passed your exam 1. Okay? Kind of get it? So you always need to spend time to review it, and then eventually you will remember the material. So, if you have a question, let me know. Today what I wanted to do, I want to cover the rest of the chapter 6. Basically, the hair follicle and glands on your skin. Now, if you remember, your lab practical, oh, I forgot to mention one thing about your lab practical. Now, I said that there is a 90 question, right, more or less. Now, I'm noticing that a lot of you will oftentimes during the lab raise your hand and ask me, hey, is this what I'm supposed to see, right? Because yes, the slide indicate connective tissue, but you know, we cut the tissue from part of the body, and the tissue actually stick with all other tissue all together and put it in the slide, and then you are very confusing what to look at, right? Okay. A few things that I do want to mention. Now, remember in your study guides, they're asking you to name the tissues, all right? But we may ask you the same thing in a different way. So I'm going to give you an example. You're looking at a bone, a compact bones. One way to ask you it is very straightforward in the tissues, right? Looking at that compact bone, you tell me the bone, right? Okay. But same thing we may ask you it is what kind of tissue it is belonging to. What are the major big category? So you will have to think about, oh, it's a bone. So as a result, that it's belonging to what are the 4 major big category? What are the 4 major tissue category?
What's the last one? muscular connective.
Perhaps it's my fault, it's the way how I asked you the question. But what I'm really looking forward to here, it is there 4 major tissue, right? There's connective tissue, there's muscle tissue, there's nerve tissue, right? This is what I'm asking, okay? So you may be looking at a bone tissue, but the way that they're really asking you is they ask you to name which major category of tissue these microscope slides actually belong to, okay? So that may confuse you a little bit. Or we show you a bone tissue, but we just ask you which part of the body you find it. Bone or skeletal, right? Okay? Or we ask you a tissue that is considered as a muscle tissue or cardio tissue. We may ask you which part of the body you will find it. Then it's muscle or bicep, whatever, or if there's a cardio tissue, it can be heart. Okay? So we may ask you the question in a different way, all right? So I do not want you just focusing too much on name the tissue, name the tissue, name the tissue. Is that the tissue I'm supposed to look at? Okay? When you're looking at it, or when you go home and study the microscope slide, try to connect what I talk about in the lectures and also read the lab manual, okay? So sort of get an overall idea what's going on in the lab. Yes?
Can we get an answer on the muscle or nervous tissue since it's not on this? Remember I emailed you about it?
It's not on where?
We only have connective and epithelial and then skin. It doesn't say anything about muscle tissue or nervous tissue.
I just want to make it clear, yes, it is including, okay, what you have in all the slides that I show it to you in the lab practical will be show up, very likely will be show up in the lab practical, okay? So that's one of the mistakes in the lab study guides, yeah, thank you. Okay, all the slides you have been looking at so far will be shown up in your lab practical, yes? No, you don't have to, right? She's asking, are we going to tell you you're looking at a high magnification or low magnification, right? Oh, I see. Unfortunately, the way how it works is we want you to look at whatever that we want you to look at. So it is either pictures or a microscope slide that is already set up. It already make all the focusing clear pictures, and you are not supposed to switch or change the objective lens. So most of them, I am assuming they were either under the 100x total magnification or the 400x magnification, but you are not supposed to switch it. Am I answering your question?
Okay, so that's fine.
Okay, let me know if this is your question. Yes?
Are you going to ask any of the more specific details of like each tissue, chondrocytes, specific part?
That's a very tough question to answer. Most of them are no, but you know it's a lab practice. There's always some 1 or 2 tough questions that are going to test you how much you read the material.
Are you going to update this study guide? Because you said that you were going to make it.
I'm not going to update the study guides. It's all the microscope slide you find in the lab, right? That's muscle, cardio, muscle, skeletal, connective tissue, all the major tissue, including the blood and nerve cells. So it is all the tissue that we talk about. Okay. Any question? All right. Yes.
You know, I'm just concerned because we didn't get as much time in the lab, so I didn't finish all of the.
You are 4 p.m. or 4 p.m. I know I'm actually late for about 20 minutes today. You're more than welcome to come tonight if you want to come to the 7 p.m. lab. You can go ahead and just finish whatever you need to say.
So could you just name off real quick what, like you said, what was missing off the study guide, just so I can make sure? Muscle tissue. Muscle and tissue.
Okay. Somehow the study guides, I believe, it's missing the muscle tissue and nerve tissue, right? But you look at those, right? You look at the skeletal muscle. If you look at the cardio muscle, you look at all those in the lab already. Okay. Other than that, any question? Okay. So let me go over chapter 6. Seems like last time we end up with the skins and skin color. And we still have the hair and nail. Okay, I'll skip the learning outcomes. So a few things that we are going to go over hair now, and some of the gland that is going to be in your skin tissues. Okay, hair and nail, most of the cells are mostly sort of dead, and they characterize the tissue, so it's with a highly dense protein. The only differences, or perhaps the kind of basal area of the hair and the nail are actually sort of alive because you needed to grow your nail and you need to grow your hair. But other than that, the rest of the major part of the hair and nail are actually sort of dead. Okay. Depending on which part we are talking about, we are talking about the nail, right? Our nail mostly are sort of semi-hardish feeling, okay, because there are a lot of keratinized protein, and we are considered as a more hardened keratinized tissues. Okay. Now, what you want to focus is there are different parts of the structure you could find on the hair and the nail, and you need to basically know the basic labeling. Okay. So one of the things that is sort of related to the hair, it says muscle. It's called the arachnopedial muscles. Okay, that is actually directly connected to the hair structure. Okay, so pedial, why we have a muscle that is called the arachnopedial muscle, because PD, okay, have some sort of meaning related to hair. So it is kind of telling you it is a hair muscle. Okay, the hairs are going to talk about it's going to compose of different parts. Okay, and in general, you should be able to find hair everywhere. Some of the body will have more hair than the other part of the body, right? Especially your head, right? Most of your hair you find it in the head, and they are it's not common you have hair in the palm right there, okay? But you will have hair on the back side, and also you will have hair in the seventh finger. And I also already mentioned, right? If you have hair in the mid-digit for each of your fingers, it is actually genetics, okay? You may have some hair in the lips and nipples and different part of the reproductive structures, okay? Hairs, depending on how it's, which part of the body, okay? I don't really care about the number, but in general, you should know that our face has 10 times more hair than the rest of the body part, and you have some number right there. I don't think I will ask you the number, but at least you have some sort of idea. 30,000 hair in the male breast, okay, and you have about 100,000 hair on the average person scalp, okay. And by average, there is no difference in terms of the number of hair between the male and female. We more or less have the same number of hair, okay. Okay. There are three kinds of hair actually grow over. You can sort of think about that as a life cycle. Okay. The first two are kind of related to the hair. So the first one is a unpigmented hair that appears on the fetus. So I think some people call it as the baby hair. All right. Eventually, most of this hair will fall off and remove, and you will develop more mature hairs. Okay, so you will have a second stage of hair. You will have a more fine, pale hair that is going to replace your original fetal hairs. Okay, by the time it's birth, and then eventually you will have more terminal hairs, and basically it is just those hair that typically have more darker in terms of color. Okay. And it stays for the rest of your life, so that including most of the hair for an adult person, right? Your hair, your eyebrows, your eye, the hair in your eyes, the hair in your nose, the hair in your ears. Okay, that kind of all considered as a terminal hair. Okay, what hair is supposed to be composed of? When you find a hair from skin structure, basically three different parts. You have a bulb, you have a root, and you have a shaft. Now the shaft is quite easy. Whatever the hair that is exploded outside the skin, that portion is called the shaft. Okay? You have a root, which is the bottom part or the basal part of the hair, and they are supposed to find in the dermis layer. Okay? Of course, they need to passing through the epidermis layer. Okay? But this region is called the root of the hair. And then at the very bottoms, okay, you have the bulb. Okay, and this is where you have most of the hair cell is going to undergo cell division. So this part, they are actually going over, right, mitosis. In this case, there's only living hair cells that are kind of near the bulb. And when they undergo mitosis, right, you have more cells, more hair cells is going to develop, and your hair is going to grow longer and longer.